start with Brett and then go to Ben.
Where do you see your running back room different now than maybe in the fall? And what have you specifically seen that adjusted to this point?
Yeah, I think right now the biggest thing I can say is our accountability. One thing, we had a lot of issues as far as, guys being where they're supposed to be off the field, and they kind of carried over sometimes to on the field. But now that room has changed dramatically. You see guys making sure they have more leadership responsibilities in the room. Guys like Jabari is taking a different role. Jay Wright's a little bit older, so that maturity is really transforming into the accountability, the type of things that you always want to see from your players as far as in the classroom. Also, too, you also see them guys. You don't have to look for those guys as far as being on time to meetings and things like that. Sometimes that was an issue as far as understanding 5 minutes early is what we want, not right on time. So that's the biggest thing that I see from our room this year. When you talk about Justin, the biggest thing that I see from him is he is a physical player when he understands what's going on. Everything is moving extremely fast for him right now as a true freshman. But you can see he shows flashes of things that we really want to see. The physicality, the big body, the ability to get those tough 1 to 2 yards that we always talk about. He has that when he understands what to do. Things are still going quite a bit fast for him right now, but for the most part, I think with more reps, more practice, a summer and a fall camp, I think you're going to see a different player when we get into the season.
With Jalen, what have you been emphasizing with him going from year 1 to year 2, and have you started to see that leap to year 2 from him?
Man, he has made tremendous jumps within our program. Right now, when we talk about, like I said before, accountability, that is tremendous growth. Also, too, you can talk about just his understanding of the game overall, the whys of why we do things. When you were as a freshman last year, it was really just lining up and playing football and just, go left, go right, trying to figure it out. Everything was moving extremely fast, no different than it is for Justin right now. But now what I see from Jay Wright, we do things within practice where we talk to the unit. He's called on a lot, especially since Jabari's being out, to go ahead and talk to the unit because he's the most experienced really back, that has playing time right now. So like that guy has just made tremendous growth within our program. He can eventually be a poster boy to a guy that comes in basically as a freshman, early enrollee, and then every year just continues to get better in the growth process.
In terms of Justin, playbook, pass protection, responsibilities, and all that, how much understanding is he going to have to get to? Is he going to, 80%? How comfortable do you have to be to put him out on the field in the fall in big situations?
Well, I think it's a day-by-day process right now. He's got to keep earning the trust of the coaches. Every day, every step for him is just one step at a time. Every day we see a little bit of growth here. Today was a footwork growth. He had some issues from just the running game footwork. Today, I don't think he had a lot of those issues today. So as we grow over to the summertime into fall camp, I got to continue to feel comfortable with him, like you said before, in protections. That's the biggest thing that's different from a young high school guy to making that jump to college. No different than college to pros. It's the protection aspect of it. He does have to get better. All of them have to get better. But just everything's moving so fast for him right now. I think he has to continue to grow. I would have never imagined in a million years last year that a guy like Jalen Wright would end up being thrust in those situations last year. You can talk about the last play at the end of the season. Hey, you got a true freshman in there, just because of our bodies. So there's no different. You never know what could happen. So, our goal is to make sure he's prepared to play to the best of his ability, just continue to keep working with him. And like I said, it's one day at a time for him.
Terry, how beneficial can it be to have a situation where you have a guy like Jalen, who was a freshman, who went through a lot of the things Justin's going through now, to sort of be that guy for Justin as someone he can rely on, or is that dynamic there between those two?
Man, it is. I think for all of them, to be honest with you, you take a look at even Jabari's background. He played a little bit in that 2020 season, not very much. He was still kind of a freshman, to be honest with you, last year in the 21 season. So all those guys have been through a little bit of that from a standpoint. There's no young players, so to speak, in our program. Guys got to come in and they got to, learn fast and figure out what's going on so they can be ready to play. We just don't have that luxury to just kind of sit guys and say, hey, we can, groom you and do things like that. Hey, man, when you come in here, the expectation is you're ready to play, and we're going to try to do everything in our power to get you ready to play. But guys like Jabari and Jalen Wright being in similar situations in the past, those guys like Justin can really lean on those guys to understand not only just on the field, but how to manage your day more than anything else. There's a lot of new things getting thrown to Justin on the field and off the field, so he has to make sure that he just understands how to manage it all. Got to make sure he understands how to manage and take care of his body. He's a big back. He's 210, 215 pounds. He's probably one of the bigger backs we got in the room, but he's a muscle guy, low body fat. So just the wear and tear on the body just over the course of the spring, he has to learn that. And guys like Jabari, who dealt with shoulder issues last year, guys like Jalen Wright, who dealt with turf toe issues last year, those guys can kind of mentor him and let him know, look, going to the training room, getting in the cold tub, getting sleep, extra treatment, all that stuff is truly important to really what you end up doing on the field.
Eric?
What has a guy like Laneith done this offseason, put him in position to help you guys out in the fall? I know you won 4 or 5 guys that you can count on. Looks like he's a guy that can be in that spot.
Yeah, Laneith has really grown from a standpoint of he's been more healthier this spring, and you can kind of see it in his game. Day by day, he showed flashes of what we feel like he can do. He's probably the only one that really, we trust for the most part from a pass protection standpoint, as far as not only understanding what to do, but also to having the ability to get there. He's a bigger body guy, so 6'2", 220. So you're talking about a guy that he matches up pretty good with a lot of linebackers, especially in this league. He has long arms, so it's just like a boxer when you have that arm reach that he can put his hands on people extremely fast. So from that standpoint, Jabari, you never want to see a player out, but by Jabari being out, it has increased his reps tremendously. So it's just a matter of just getting more reps in there, and now he's made some growth from a pass protection standpoint. He shows flashes as a runner. You saw last week in the scrimmage, he's understanding a little bit more about running back position and what we expect and what we want from that position, keeping those tight tracks, hitting things more vertical downhill, not bouncing things, and that was something that all of them had to grow in it, and he's showed that he is growing in it this offseason.
If somebody says you're going to have a running back cut by committee this season, do you take that as a knock on any of your guys, or is that just sort of a reality of where college football is right now?
Yeah, I think it's a reality of where we're at in college football. You even see it in the National Football League. The days of guys getting 35, 40 carries in a game and, those war daddies, those days are a little bit gone. We would like to have guys that are running back by committee, to be honest with you, because what that shows that we are recruiting the right guys to come in and contribute right away. That shows that the development in the room is where it needs to be, and that breeds competition. So that means we're going to always get fresh bodies and the best guy that has performed the best all week. So the expectation is that all those guys are ready to play, and the cream rises to the top. So we're always going to play the best players. You do hope that when you put 1A, 1B, the 2 or the 3 in the game, you hope that the drop off is not that great. You know what I mean? And that means that we got to continue to bring quality people in the building.
Yeah, where is the growth of, what do you want the growth of the run game to be? Kind of big picture view, what's the next step in the run game in this offense?
Yeah, the first thing I wanted to do is to build that toughness in the room. I want guys to understand how it takes an entire room to win football games. So I want guys to understand how to finish games. Last year we had some situations where a guy like Jabari or some other guys we had, they may have not finished the game. Understand when we go in that game and strap it up, you're gonna finish the game. And also too, from the run game perspective, we need to continue to create explosive plays. This offense is built around making sure guys create explosive plays, understanding exactly where runs are supposed to hit, exactly where free hitters are, so they can understand how to make guys miss. I refer back to that game against Kentucky last year. Jabari had a really great run where he crossed the safety's face in one-on-one traffic and ended up scoring a touchdown. Just more of that understanding exactly, how to make guys miss in space and get downhill. And also, too, the last thing I would say is understanding the physicality that we need more in our run game. We need to be able to finish what we call pad plus 2. We need to be able to, on contact, fall forward, get 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, end up getting those yards. On the first try, not get it to 4th down. Make sure Coach Golish and Coach Heupel, they make sure, hey, we can call this play one time and it's going to get the 1st down. So that physicality in our room needs to continue to grow.
Anything else from Coach? Ryan?
Jerry, because of what you were talking about with the depth, how important is it for Dylan Sampson to come in ready to go, and what do you see in his game?
Extremely important. I mean, we're expecting Dylan, like all those guys, to come in and have a role. Exactly at this time, what that role looks like, don't know. But I definitely can see a guy with his speed and his ability. Been talking to him a lot. He's actually put on a little weight. So exactly, a guy that's what we call a ball in hand guy, a guy that can catch the ball in space, make people miss. He's a 10-4 by trade, 100-meter dash guy. So he should be able to outrun some people in this league, every now and then. But we're excited about him coming in the door. We need for that guy to come in and have a role early, very early.
Wes?
Jerry, how tough is it to get your average kind of freshman ready to do the things you need them to do in your season? I mean, I know maybe they can't know 100% of everything, right, because you're always learning, but how much does a freshman need to know to play, and how tough is that to get out of some kids?
Yeah, I think, we try to figure out exactly what they do best. For example, we was just talking about Dylan Sampson. If Dylan Sampson's a guy that can come in and he can catch bubble screens or he can catch perimeter screens and, he can only run inside zone as a true freshman, he's the best on the roster doing that, then it's our job to make sure we put him in those positions to do that. I think it really all depends on exactly where their skill set and where their growth at. A lot of those freshmen come in from a protection standpoint, they struggle in protections. So sometimes that won't be always the best situation to put them in those third down situations. Some of them are really better at running the football. So we can put them in those situations. So it really all depends on where they fit and where we feel like they're at from a standpoint of their growth and development. Is it hard? Yes, it's hard, but a lot of it is based off, what their mental capacity and how hard they're willing to work. What they put into it is what they're going to get out of it.
Coach, I know Jabari's not been kind of practicing lately, but big picture with him this offseason, what are some of the things that you and him looked at from last season and said these are the things that you can improve, and what are some areas you're really pushing him to kind of maybe take his game to the next level? Man,
I think first thing is just his body more than anything. He ended the season last year. He was probably about 199, I think, in that last game against Purdue. By the time we kind of started middle of the spring this year, he had been high as 213. So the body weight and the mass and the armor that he has put on his body is just tremendous. He's made a commitment to eating the right things. He's made a commitment to putting more time in the weight room. You're going to see I think you're going to see a different body type than you saw last year on the field. The thing that I see in the classroom, he has really been engaged. Everybody knows he's been beat up and bruised up a little bit this spring. But one thing you can see is the growth and the maturity in the system. He understands what not only he's supposed to do, he has a little bit better understanding of what the receivers and what the quarterbacks is looking for, every play. He's done a good job of watching guys in the National Football League and just seeing how they run the ball, the physicality that they run the ball with. And I think that is going to help him going forward. So overall, I think his body more than anything, but I also think his knowledge of the game has increased as well.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay.